Hello, welcome to Yates Makes. So we're taking the beginner's drawing lesson that we've all seen hundreds of times. Take a circle, take a cube, take a cone, imagine light, build up your tones in layers. Think about a cast shadow, but we're going to take it a step further. We're going to consider things like background tone, for example. What effect does that have on your drawing? We're going to imagine surfaces. Actual realistic surfaces. For example, what if the sphere has a metallic polished surface that reflects and distorts the light? What if that cube, we reimagined it as a lump of wood? How do we deal with the texture for that? What details can we add? I'm also here to introduce a concept that plain old paper, rubber and pencil is not enough, even for a beginner. You need to be working on toned paper, using your pencil and rubber, but also white chalk. Here's why. You get to draw light as well as shade. Now, lesson 1 deals with a sphere, as you've just seen there. This lesson, we're dealing with the cube. Okay, start with a vertical. On the top of the vertical, a diagonal. Then another vertical coming down, and a parallel diagonal. Then you just need to continue with your other vertical. Use those initial lines as guides. 3 sets of parallel lines. Shade your left face with a couple of layers of tone, your right face with a slightly lighter single layer of tone. Now I'm going to start drawing some features in now that are going to help this create the illusion of a piece of wood. So I'm going to cut a little split into the edge. So you can see there, I've just cut into my block 2 sharp arrow points, one on the outside of that left edge as well. Don't forget to stick in your little diagonal, again parallel with those diagonals for the outer edge of the cube. Okay, my top face is going to be receiving most light, so I've just rubbed out my guidelines. Okay, let's tackle the grain texture of the wood. So I'm going to start on my darkest face, which is on the left. Now, not running straight up with those verticals, but slightly at an angle. I'm just going to shade some fairly thick lines following a rough pattern, occasionally sticking in a kind of arrow shape just to suggest a break or a change in the grain of the wood. You can see my lines there wrap around that arrowhead, just marking in the splits a bit heavier. Right, onto the right face, picking up those lines on the front edge. I'm now shading in. Obviously this is slightly lighter, this edge. I've put in a little knot there, just described by an oval, some grain wrapping around it. Now this is important. You're going to create for your top edge a series of semicircles that roughly connect those grain lines on the right and the left across that top face, as if this is a bit of machined wood. Okay, already we're getting there. I'm going to sketch in the rough direction of my cast shadow. That's going to give this block of wood what we call some context, a surface, an environment to sit in. And we're getting there, building up tones gently in layers. Now, the magic ingredient, white chalk. This is transformative, right? It's going to encourage you to really think about the way you draw from now on. I'm going to white in my background first, and you can see just what a contrast I can get with both the grey tone of the paper and the pencil work I've done. Smudging that background tone back a little, just to soften the texture, and already that wood block is coming right off the page. So let's use some of this white in the gaps on our semicircular grain on the top of the wood, just to pick up a bit more highlight and bring this surface, this plane of the cube, into a bit more light. Doesn't need much, just a little bit. You can smudge that off with your finger just to soften the texture down a bit. Remember, pause the video, take your time, get it right. It's a quick drawing, but I've speeded it up just a little. Right, now we're going to get some real depth into these tones on the left hand face. So I'm adding another layer of depth to those shaded areas on the left, the grain of the wood first, and then I'm going to put a further blanket of tone over the top of this to really add some depth. Just a little bit of emphasis on the bottom edge, and I'm starting to get some decent realism in there now. Okay, gonna need another blanket of tone into that cast shadow and all over that left hand face. Okay, going to make some minor adjustments to the shape of this cast shadow. Just make that come from the bottom right corner. Add a little more depth, tidy up the shape, drop some white into the background there. And I'm much more pleased with the shape of that cast shadow. And I'm really nearly there now. I could keep going and add more depth to this face that's in shade, and we're nearly done. Look, I can't stress enough the importance right from the start of your drawing journey to combine materials, especially working on a toned surface. Will make you think about drawing light as well as drawing shade, and it will set you up so well for painting in the future too. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for part 3 on a glass floating cone to complete the series. Take it easy. See you soon.